Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbat
Shalom.
We need a couple practices on that, Rabbi Katz.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We do that a lot. So join us, please.
And now you can see as the screen fills up. I want to welcome everybody. If you are joining us in person, make sure you've got one of two things, or two of two things, actually. First is a prayer book. The second is a packet. It looks like we're almost out of them, so if you can share, that'd be awesome. And if you happen to see someone near you who doesn't have one, you can pass that to them too. You'll need the packet, not right now, but during the Torah service. In addition, if you're joining us virtually, you'll see in the chat a link to the prayer book. You can follow along that way, as well as the Torah service when we get to it. And so we're going to begin today. We're on page 74.
Ma tovu alecha Yaakov. It's so good to be under the same tent together, virtually and in person. So we join together, Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, see if we can internalize those words. We know it feels good. Let us enter it into the heart and the mind. Here we go. Join us. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov. Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. ואני תפילתי לך, ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני עת רצון, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך, מה טובו, join us.
Let's hear you, מה טובו.
מה טובו, אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. One more time. מה טובו, אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. So Shabbat Shalom and welcome.
So in a moment, we're going to be handing a tallis off to Hannah and to Will for the very first time. They'll place it on their shoulders, which symbolizes what it means to take on the mantle of leadership of the Jewish community, what it means to hold that weight literally on their shoulders as they take on the values and the obligations and the rights of what it means to be a full-fledged member of the Jewish people. And so in moving toward their adulthood, we're going to call up a number of people who are going to pass them the tallis so they can place it on their shoulders and say the blessing. And so I want to call up Mady and Joseph, Jerry and Sarah Rosenheck. And you guys should come too.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotah v'tzivanu l'ha'atef b'tzitzit.
You guys can take a seat. So in a moment, we're going to move to page 80, and we're going to pray a set of prayers, traditional prayers, that are normally recited in the morning. These prayers speak about small miracles and large miracles in our life, the ability to distinguish day from night, the ability to see, the ability to be free. And so we're going to, instead of praying these traditional blessings, we're going to give ourselves the opportunity to pray a series of our own. So why don't we call out, what are some miracles in your life that you are thankful for? Anybody? For children. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for children. Someone else? For good health. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for good health. And for those who are online, feel free also to put yours into the chat. Yeah. For loving friends. Together? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for loving friends. Someone else. For fall leaves. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for fall leaves. For vaccines. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for vaccines.
And science.
For grandchildren. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for grandchildren. We're on page 86, and we join together in this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Page 88, Elu Devarim.
אלו דברים שלהם שיעור, שאדם אוכל פירותיהם בעולם הזה, והקרן קיימת לו לעולם הבא, ואלו הן.
כיבוד אב ואם וגמילות חסדים, והשכמת בית המדרש שחרית וערבית, והכנסת אורחים וביקור חולים, והכנסת כלה וביית המת ועיון תפילה, והבאת שלום בין אדם לחברו, ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולם. We chant responsively, page 94.
ברוך שאמר והיה העולם
ברוך הוא,
ברוך עושה וראשית,
ברוך אומר ועושה,
ברוך חוזר ומקיים,
ברוך מרחם על הארץ,
ברוך מרחם על הבריות,
ברוך משלם שכר טוב לרעיו,
ברוך חי לעד וקיים לנצח,
ברוך פודה ומציל, ברוך שמו.
ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות.
Page 96, a special psalm for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. We do this once again. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסידיך, באמונתך בלילות, עלי יעזור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, בכינור.
Let's hear you.
One more time. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, יאמר לשמך עליון. אשרי יושבי ביתך עוד יהללוך סלה.
אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילה לדוד, ארוממך אלוהי המלך, ואברך שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, ולעלה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורותיך יגידו.
הדר כבודותיך, ודברי נפלותיך עשיך.
וזוז נורתך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
זכר רב טובך יביעו, וצדקותיך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדול חסד.
הוא אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, גבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
עיני חולליך יסברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני כל אוהביו, ואת כל רשעים ישמיד.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פיו, ויברך כל בשר, שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם.
Hallelujah.
Psalm 150, page 100.
So just take a moment. Let yourself notice. Is it hard for me to be in my heart right now? Because we've all got tons of reasons to be joyous today. I mean, I don't know about yesterday. Today we do. And so, hallelujah is about knowing it and then saying it, shouting it if necessary, but making it heard, making it known. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Bikocho. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Birkia uzo. Hallelujah. 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 Bigevurota. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Keragullo. Hallelujah. 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 Beteka shofar. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Benevel vechino. Hallelujah.
Let's hear you. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Betof umachoy. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Beminim betuka. Hallelujah. 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 Betzil tzilei shama. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Betzil tzilei trua. Kol hanshama. Kol hanshama tehaleya. Kol hanshama tehaleya. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We're going to rise together, page 106, as we move toward the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ילמד ורכילותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכון וברכון וחיי כל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו
Amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך.
ברך וישתבח ויתפאר יומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה.
בריחו.
להאמין כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירה מעולמה ואמרו
Amen.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד.
We're seated together, page 110.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. once more ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
Page 112.
אהבה רבה אהבתנו אדוני אלוהינו חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו בעבור אבותינו ואימותינו שבטחו בך שבטחו בך שבטחו בך ותלמדם חוקי חיים תן תכוננו ותלמידנו המרחם רחם עלינו המרחם רחם עלינו ותן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע ללמוד וללמד לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה והארננו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחד לבבינו רבה וליראה את שמך ולא נבוש ולא נקלם ולא נקשל לעולם ועד בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ ותוליכנו קממיות לארצנו כי בו ישועות אתה ונבחרת וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ולאחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד.
We're on page 116, and I'd like to call Will up, who's going to lead us in the Via Hafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וקשרתם על מזיזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה להם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניהם, אשר אתה זונים אחריכם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי וחייתם לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. יישר כוח. Thank you, Will.
And so we're going to move forward now, page 122, as we move toward these words of freedom, Mi Chamocha.
I feel like there are some young people here that either have gone to camp before or currently go to camp in the summertime and or are related in some way as directors or other things at camps. And so we better bring it with this melody. It's a big camp one right now. I don't know. Am I wrong about this? Here we go.
Yai dai dai yai la 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 yai dai yai dai la 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 yai la 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 yai la la yai la la yai la la
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Join us all together. Here we go.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, here we go, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. One more time, man, ya, 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 la, la, ya, 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 la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, la, ya, la, la.
We'll rise together, page 122 on the bottom, and I want to call Hannah up, because when we finish this prayer, she's going to lead us in the Avot in the Gevurot.
צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופידכנו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך את אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Adonai sefetai tiftach ufi yagi tehillatech.
Adonai sefatai titach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagedor Hagibor ve'Anora El Elyon Gomel Hazadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zoher Hazdei Avot V'imahot Umevi Gelar Livnei V'nehem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Abraham V'Zrat Sarah Ta Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mekayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach Umarid HaGashem Mikol Yohayim Behesed Mehagel HaKol Berahamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofe Olim Umatir Asurim Mekayeh Emunato Lishenei Afar Mihamocha Ba'al Gevuro Umido Melech Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmi Hagishua V'ne'eman Atai Lehahayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai Mehayeh HaKol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כי שם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה לזה ואמר, together, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיגוד לך לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיגוד לך ולנצח נצחים ולנצח נצחים קדושתך קדושתך נקדיש ולנצח נצחים ולנצח נצחים קדושתך קדושתך נקדיש לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיגוד לך לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיגוד לך בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם לעולם ועד בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue in silence through page 142, and when you are finished, you can be seated. As we do each time that we pray the Amidah, we close with words for peace. And so I want to call George Hemingway up to read a special prayer for peace now.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace. And give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate amongst the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of the world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hambarek et amo Israel bashalom.
Amen. We take another moment, though today we don't really need it because I think we all just got really dialed into that prayer for peace. Thank you, George. But we take another moment to see if we can intone it ourselves in the ancient Hebrew. We return to page 140 just for another moment, singing this beautiful melody. Join us.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha.
Place blessing and goodness on us.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed, chen v'chesed v'rachamim.
Grace and loving kindness as well.
Chen v'chesed v'rachamim, v'rachamim. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha.
One last time together.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Tova uvracha.
We move now into Seder Kriyat HaTorah, into the reading of our Torah, and we're going to call those same group of people who handed Will and Hannah the tallis to hand them the Torah, but to pass it from generation to generation, Mady, Joseph, Jerry, and Sarah Rosenheck. And we're going to call your cousins, Kyle and Jackson Parma, up to open up the ark, and of course the two of you, as we rise together, page 244.
Ve'en kemocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'en kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Avarachamim heitiv avitzoncha et Zion, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki vecha levad bataknu, melech eram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai merushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, bigdu shato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromemha Shemo Yagdav. Yadai, dai, 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 dai. Yai dai, 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 dai.
Nala Shevet, you may be seated. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. So if you walked in earlier, I think, ran a little short of the packets, but there should be kind of one for every two. So if you're sitting next to somebody with a packet, pass it around to somebody who doesn't have it. The front of the packet looks basically just like this, and this is the way, if you're in person, you can follow along with the Torah portion. And if you're joining us virtually, there'll be a link that's put, I think it already is, into the chat, and that way you can follow along as well. It's our custom every Shabbat, not just to read our Torah portion, but to understand, to contextualize, to see how it fits in with our world today. And so with that, it's my pleasure to call Hannah up as our first teacher this morning.
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. My Torah portion, My Torah portion is called Parashat Vayetzi. It tells the story of Jacob and his marriage to Leah and Rachel. Jacob, the grandson of Abraham, was in love with Laban's daughter, Rachel. Laban had 2 daughters, Rachel the younger one and Leah the eldest. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, but Laban needed something in return. Jacob then proposed he would work 7 years out of his love for Rachel so that they could become married, so he did. Even though 7 years was a long time, it felt like days because Jacob's love for Rachel was so strong. Laban invites everyone to a feast and tricks Jacob by giving him Leah instead of Rachel. Jacob marries the wrong sister. Jacob asks why Laban did this to him and that this was not what he had worked for. Laban said, "This is not done in our region, to give the younger before the firstborn." Laban then made Jacob work for an additional 7 years so he could be with Rachel as well as Leah. So he did. After reading my Torah portion, I was left with a question. Why would Jacob put up with this? Why would he work 7 years to marry Rachel? And why would he work an additional 7 years when it didn't work out? I think you would agree that it seems so bizarre that Jacob would work 7 years to marry anyone. Nowadays, people propose, then typically get married within a year. Working for 7 years just to have the title as a married couple seems absurd. So there must be something more here. So why would he work so hard? There are many possible answers. Maybe he wanted to prove to himself that he was truly in love with Rachel. The time he spent working could have been used as a time to think about his love for her. Or he might have wanted to prove to everyone his love for Rachel. By seeing him every day working really hard would show that those 7 years really meant a lot to him to make sure people knew what he was doing it for. Finally, some people think that he might have wanted to escape from his brother, and working for 7 years was a stall tactic to keep him away from home. I think Jacob wanted to do something big, like work those 7 years to show Rachel how much he loved for her. I think he wanted to prove to Rachel that he was the right man for her. Those 7 years felt like seconds, he said. That feeling of pride every time she noticed his hard work, I'm sure was a boost to confidence to keep him going because he remembered that in the end, it would all be worth it. If he wanted her to fall in love with him, giving her everything would matter. Jacob teaches us that hard work pays off. Not everything is going to be handed to you. Hard work matters because you are your own person, and hard work helps you achieve the things that you want to have. For example, if you want to achieve a high grade on a test, you have to study hard. If you want to score multiple goals in your game, you have to get on the driveway and shoot pucks, or get on the field and shoot soccer balls. But sometimes you might not work hard at things because you don't feel like they're important. When you should work hard depends on how you feel about the outcome. Let's just say you get an opportunity to do something school-related that would look really good on a college application or something that you would want to do, or something that you would get into a high honor class, but you don't want to do it. You know you should put in the hard work, but you can't get motivated because it wasn't your passion and you don't want to work hard. Sometimes you will, but you don't, because you don't want to fail or you don't have a choice. But the most important thing is to make time and room for the things you care most about. Prioritizing well means creating room for yourself, for the things that you enjoy and love doing. If you love your sport and want to go far in it, then you're prioritizing your practices, your workouts, the time you spend watching plays, and the time you spend shooting on the driveway. This is the time you spend watching games and studying plays. I do all these things so that I can play, hopefully, college hockey. This is because I truly love what I do. Making room for the things you're passionate about means that you have dreams and goals, and that if you prioritize them, you can achieve them. It means that you are determined to get to this goal and that nothing can get in your way. I'm like Jacob in that way, when I work hard at hockey. I too feel like the many hours I put in feel like seconds. Jacob's story teaches us how to make room and work hard for the things you love. I try to do that every day, and so should you. It doesn't matter how old you are or how far you are into the things you can do, you can always make room for your dreams. Shabbat shalom.
Awesome. So we're going to move now into Seder Kriyat Torah, to the actual reading of our Torah, and we're just looking for, there it is. We're looking for the plexiglass that we tend to put on the Torah. We are going to have 6 aliyot this morning, 3 read by Hannah, 3 read by Will, with a little bit of a break in between. And so for our first aliyah, I want to call up Ya'amdu, Yosef ben Israel, Meryl Sura Aliyah Torah, your grandparents, Joseph and Mady Rosenheck.
Baruch Adonai HaBaruch. Baruch Adonai HaBaruch Le'olam Bo'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher boka bano mikol ha'amim. V'nasan lano es Toraso. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Squeeze in here.
Amen. Vayomer Lavan liYaakov hachi achi ata va'avadetani hinam hagid ali mamaskritecha ulilavan shtei vanot shem hagadola le'ah v'shem hakdana Rachel ve'enei le'ah rakot v'Rachel hayta yifat toar v'yifat mareh va'ehav Yaakov et Rachel Vayomer evadecha sheva shanim berachel bitecha hakdana. Vayomer Lavan, tov titiota lach, mititiota leish aher sheva imadi. Vayavod Yaakov berachel sheva shanim v'hiyu v'enav ki yamim achedim b'havato ota.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lano Torah emet. V'hayei olam nota b'saheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
And so for our second aliyah, I'd like to call Hannah up your parents. Ya'amdu, Sarah bat David, Margaret, Israel ben Yosef, Meryl Sarah aliyah la Torah.
Baruch Adonai HaBorah. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim V'Natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Yaakov Elavan Havad et ishti ki maleu yamai ve'avoa elecha vaye'esof Lavan ekol anshe hamakom vaya'ash mishteh vayiva erev vayikach et Leah vito vayave ota elav vayave elecha vayiten Lavan la et zilpa shifato leleah vito shifcha vayhi vaboker v'henehi Leah vayomer Lavan mazot asita li halo v'Rachel Halo v'Rachel avadti imach ve'lama remitani.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat Amet. B'kayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. And Hannah, we call you up formally as bat mitzvah now. Tamod, 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 Chana bat Sarah v'Israel, la'aliyah la Torah, chizki v'imsei.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar B'anu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Lavan lo ye'esef ken bimkomenu latet hatzira lifnei habakora male shivua azot v'nitna lecha gam et zot ba'avoda asher ta'avod imod od shava shanim acherot Vayas Yaakov Ken Vaymale Shivua Azot Vaiten Lo Et Rahel Bito Lo Isha Vaiten Lavan L'Rachel Bito Et Bilcha Shivchato La L'Shivcha Vayavo Gam El Rachel Vayahav Gam Et Rachel Melea Vayavod Imod Od Sheva Shanim Acherod. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Yasher koach. So you can take a seat. Everybody actually can take a seat, because we're going to have a quick reprieve with this. As now we've heard you teach us a little bit of Torah, Hannah, and so now it's my pleasure to call your brother Will up, who is going to read us his teaching and his interpretation of the Torah portion.
Got it. Shabbat Shalom. As my sister said, my portion is called Parashat Vayetzi, and I'll pick off where she left off. Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah because he didn't love Leah as much. God took pity on her and tried to help her by opening up her womb and letting her have a child. Leah thought by having children, Jacob would love her, but Rachel was infertile, but she was soon to be proven wrong. Leah bore 4 children to Jacob. She named her first child Reuben, saying, God has seen my sadness and has given me a child, and now Jacob will love me. But he did not. She became pregnant and bore another son, and she named him Simeon. She said, God has heard that I am unloved and has given me this child too. But Jacob still did not love her. She had another 2 sons, but those didn't help either. Although Leah gave him 4 children, he still did not love her because Rachel was the one who he fell in love with. However, Rachel grew envious of Leah for being able to have children when she could not. She grew so enraged that she gave Jacob her maid Bilhah to give birth on her knees for her, and she bore 2 children. Leah was no longer bearing children, so she gave Jacob her maid Zilpah, and she bore 2 children. Leah wanted to bear more children, and God listened to her, letting her bear a 5th child. Rachel wanted babies, and God finally listened to her, opening up her womb and letting her have a child, and she finally bore a son named Joseph. After reading my portion, I was left with a question. Why did the 2 sisters compete to have more children with Jacob? Why weren't they supportive of each other? Why the competition and the heartache? At first glance, it does seem like a competition. In fact, it's a rivalry between sisters. Both sisters have their own reasons to want to have kids with Jacob. Leah wanted children because she wanted to gain Jacob's love by having kids. She thought that the more kids she had, the more Jacob would love her. But she was wrong. Rachel, on the other hand, could not have kids, and Rachel fought infertility her whole life so that she could have kids. She felt like having kids was her main purpose in her life. Both wanted what the other had. Leah wanted Rachel's love, and Rachel wanted Leah's fertility. However, I don't think it was as simple as a competition because the sisters don't even dislike each other, but rather they both love Jacob. Although the Torah says that Rachel feels like she has won against Leah by having a kid, I think she doesn't care as much about beating Leah. Instead, she cares about finally birthing a child to Jacob. In a midrash, it even says that the sisters had a really strong bond and supported each other through their endeavors as sisters and not as rivals. One midrash has Rachel helping Leah to marry Jacob because she was the firstborn. So in the end, even though it might feel like a competition, the sisters actually have a really strong bond, even though they want what the other one has. Leah and Rachel were great siblings in a lot of ways. They both had what the other wanted, and yet did not hurt each other over it, and their longing even made their relationship stronger. Now, I think their ability to get something from Jacob and not fight from each other is amazing. They stayed together and supported each other through it. Leah and Rachel teach us an important lesson, that to function as siblings and not step on each other's toes, you must have empathy and kindness, and understand that even if your sibling might want the same thing as you, you can't control them or the situation. Sometimes you can both have the same thing too, but you have to be respectful, kind, and supportive of each other. That is how you function as a sibling. Leah and Rachel work very well together as siblings, and I wish that Hannah and I could be as supportive as each other as they were. Though sometimes we do get it right, at other times that's not the case. Hannah and I will get angry at each other, we may have fights, but in the end we do resolve them. From reading this portion, I've come to realize that not only Hannah must change the way she is around me, but I have to also. If we can both act together more like Leah and Rachel, then life would be a lot easier and we both would be a lot happier. Yes, things come up with the two of them, but how we handle it, it makes all the difference. This portion does not only relate to me and Hannah, or even just to siblings. This portion can help with almost any type of relationship when there's conflict and competition. There are a couple things to learn from the portion. If you or someone else want the same thing, instead of fighting to get it, think of a way you both can get what you want, because fighting will only waste time and make your relationship worse. To have a successful relationship, you must be responsible, have respect, empathy, and kindness. In the end, Leah and Rachel teach us that even if things get in the way, you have to come together and instead of acting alone, act as a unit. Nothing is more important than your relationship, and you can't let things get between you. Nothing is worth splitting you both apart. Shabbat shalom. Yeah.
Yasher koach. And by the way, if you're joining us virtually, feel free to put into the chat any words of support, any words of love, and even some observations, both on words that Will and words that Hannah each said. So we have 3 aliyot now, and so for our first aliyah, I want to call up Ya'amdu, Nechama, Velvel, Ben Nechama, Diego La Torah, Nancy, Diego, and Gavin Parma.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'natan lanu et Torato.
Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayar Adonai kisnua Leah vayiftach et rachma v'rahel akara vatar Leah vatelet ben vatikra shemo Reuven ki amra ki ra'a Adonai be'ani Ki ata Yehevani ishi Vatahar od Vatelet ben Vatomer Ki shema Adonai Ki snua Anohi Vayiten li Gamet Zed Vatikra Shemo Shemon Vatahar od Vatelet ben Vatomer Ata hapa'am Yilave ishi elai Ki elati lo shlosha vani Al ken karashimo levi Vatahar od Vatelet ben Vatomer hapa'am Oded Adonai Alken Kare'a Shemo Yehuda V'ta'amod Miledet.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayel olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So we're going to call your parents now back up, Sarah and Jerry, Ya'amdu, Sarah bat David Margalit, Israel ben Yosef v'Meral Sarah la'aliyah Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charvanu mikol hamin v'natan lanu et Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vatahara. Oh yeah, Vatere Rachel. Ki lo yalda li'Yaakov. Vatikane Rachel bachota. Vatomer El Yaakov havali vanim v'im aim meta anohi. Vayicher af Yaakov birachel. Vayomer hatachat Elohim anohi asher mana mimech privaten. Vatomer hine amati bilcha bo elecha vateled al birkai va'ibane gam anohi mimena. Vatiten lo et bilha shivchata liisha vayavo elecha Yaakov. Vatahar bilha vateled li Yaakov ben.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'kayei olam natan b'tochenu.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And so now, Will, we're going to call you up formally as bar mitzvah. Ya'amod, Ya'amod, Ya'amod. David ben Sarah v'Israel aliyah Torah. Chazak ve'amatz.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vatomer Rachel Danani Elohim v'gam Shema bekoli vayiten li kamet said Ben al ken karashimo dan Vatahar od vateled bilha shivchata Rachel ben Sheni li'Yaakov. Baruch atah Adonai Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So Hannah, we're going to call you back up because we're going to sing a special blessing for All Joyous First, the Shehechianu, as we stall just a little bit to make sure the candy can quickly come around. And so we're going to say these words.
It's not my job, but I'm doing it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Siman tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, siman tovu. Siman tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, siman tovu, siman tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, siman tovu. Elad. So all students, come grab some candy for yourself. Elanu ulecho Yisrael, Yay. I know you guys know what to do. Come on up. Ulecho Yisrael. Yeh lanu. Ulecho Yisrael. Yeh lanu. Ulecho Yisrael. So Hannah and Will, stay up here because your parents have a special blessing that they're going to give you now. Sorry. And we're just going to ask that if you did get candy, please don't eat it in here, just put it in your pocket.
That's you, Liam. Okay. Can everyone hear us? Yeah. Okay, so we have a blessing. I just wanted to ad-lib something really quick. Don't get mad at me. When Hannah was up here, William was sitting there, and I hear William go, what'd you say? Wait. Yeah. I want to get the right words. I got it. You got this, Hannah. That's what he said, and that just summed it up for me and everything. So that was perfect, William. So and he was rooting for you. William and Hannah. I know we always say this, but it bears repeating.
Sorry.
We couldn't be prouder of you. Every day you surprise us with how responsible you are, how independent you've become. Yeah. The past 2 years have hit us with incredible challenges, and you've shown perseverance and determination, coupled with adaptiveness and a super positive spirit. Not even a global pandemic stopped your commitment to your B'nai Mitzvah, studying not only 1, but 2 Torah portions. A new script, a new language, a massive time commitment to your extremely, extremely busy schedules, and you never gave up. It filled us with pure joy as we heard you practicing and chanting regularly throughout the halls of our home. Being able to read Torah is a very special practice. It is ancient, and it binds you with a deeper connection to your ancestry. We hope you feel a huge sense of accomplishment today. William, we couldn't be prouder of you. You are so self-aware, you know what you want, and you go after it with determination. We rarely have to push you. You take life head on. You are so well-rounded. You get straight A's, 1B maybe? No. You play multiple musical instruments. You compete on the soccer field. You play Dungeons and Dragons. You draw comics. The list could go on, but this wouldn't quite capture the essence of who you are, because it's not what you do, but how you do it. It is how you live your life. You live your life with a full heart. You have this incredible warmth and sweetness about you. Kindness exudes from every cell, whether it is family or friends or even complete strangers. To know you is to love you. You are a happy, affectionate soul who has already figured out the value of friendships and relationships. You add so much joy to the world and make every moment in life fun. You have a true gift for making everyone feel loved and heard. William, you are goodness incarnate. You are a sweet boy. And Mom.
Hannah, we love your fierce spirit and focus that goes into everything you do and touch. Your incredible inner strength and confidence is something everybody recognizes and admires in you. Always honest and forthright, you lead by example, making the world and everyone around you simply better. You push everyone to be the best, authentic version of themselves. Your never-ending energy, tenacity, and attention to detail carries you to the highest levels of success. Advocating for yourself and others, you never settle. Watching you compete, whether it's at soccer or hockey or lacrosse or football or the sports list goes on, is truly, it's watching God-given talent. What is even more amazing is to watch you accomplish all that you do with such grace, love, and goodness in your heart, and never, ever at the expense of others. You are omnipotent, sweet, funny, corny, sensitive, you're loving and caring, you are intense, you are smart, you are a force of nature, completely fearless. You are the hurricane. Today is a super special day. It's a milestone in this long journey of life, and may you both continue this amazing journey just as you have the past 14 years, with hard work and discipline, with love and empathy, with imagination and big dreams. You are now young, amazing adults in the Jewish community. We think you're the best kids in the world, and we are beyond blessed to call you ours.
Thank you so much, guys. I love you.
Oh. Baby sandwich. No.
Okay, all right.
So you can take a seat now as together we turn to page 253, and we think of those who are ill and who are in need of healing, who are in need of a refuah shlema, complete healing of body, mind, soul, and spirit. And so I'll invite you, if you've got names of people that you want to share who are in need of healing, to do that now. Again, page 253. Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn to page 259 for a special prayer for the state of Israel. And it's my pleasure to call up Jeffrey and Amy Kagan.
O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace.
Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all, lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel.
Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
We rise together as we prepare to lift and dress our Torah.
זאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. Iramayam, Iramayam, Iramayam,
You may be seated. Thank you. And now Hannah and Will, except for the two of you, who need to come back up because it is always the custom on Shabbat to offer not only texts from Torah, from the first 5 books of our Hebrew Bible, but also from the middle section of the Hebrew Bible, from the books of the Nevi'im. And so they'll begin with the opening blessing and then move into the Haftarah text for today, which you can find in those texts, those text booklets that you had from earlier. Who's beginning? Baruch atah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bin ve'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Habocher Batorah Uv'Moshe Avdo Uv'Yisrael Amo Uv'Inve'eh Ha'emet V'Tzedek.
Baruch. The actual section? Where?
You have to go to your...
I got you. Yeah.
Wait, I go first.
Yeah.
Vayivrach Yaakov Sede Aram Vayavod Yisrael Be'isha Uvisha Shamar Uvin Ve'eh Hel Uvnavi Ha'ela Adonai Et Yisrael Mimitzrayim Uvnavi Nishma Hiches Ephraim Tamarim Vedamav Alav Yitosh Vecher Patosh Yasiv lo Adonav.
Kedaber Ephraim retet Nasahu B'Yisrael Ve'esham Ba'al Vayamot Ve'ata Yosifu Lacheto Vaya'esu Lachem Masecha Mikaspam Kidvunam Atzabim Maaseh Harashim Kulo Lehem Hem Umrim Zovhem Adam Agalim Yishaku Lachem Yehiu Ka'anan Boker Vechatal Mashchim Holech Kimotz Yisoer Mikoren Uchashan Me'aruban Ve'anochi Adonai Elohecha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Elohim Zulati Lo Teda Umashiach Bilti. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Sir Kol HaOlamim Sadik B'Kol HaDorot HaEl HaNe'eman HaOmer Ve'oseh HaMedaber U'Mekayeh Shekol Devarav Emet V'Tzedek Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al HaNevi'im Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdusha V'limnuha Lichavod Ultifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu Modim Lach Umevarchim Otach Yitbarach Shimha Befi Kol Hai ta'amid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
We're going to rise together as we prepare to return our Torah to the ark.
Shalom, Hoshivenu Adonai Elecha v'noshuva Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Shabbat Shalom. Hannah and Will, thank you not only for your chanting, but also for your really thoughtful words that you shared today. And I was telling you before when we kind of had our run through about the fact that I have this kind of unique task. Normally I get a chance to respond to the B'nai Mitzvah, but when I have a double, in this case twins, I have to find some kind of through thread that exists between their two portions. And there is a really clear one that I'm going to get to in a second. To get there, we got to just review what you each talked about. So, Hannah, you talked about this idea that if something's really important for you, you're going to work really hard for it. And that you do the same thing with your hockey, and it's clear that you both are Renaissance people. You do the same thing with a lot of what you care about, including getting ready for today. And so in the same way that you shoot pucks on the driveway, Jacob worked for 7 years to make sure that he could get that person that he loved. And then when he was tricked by his father-in-law and he accidentally married the wrong sister, he worked for 7 more years to make sure that he could get that thing. That when there's something that you really want, as you taught us, you have to work hard for it, even if it means putting things aside. And Will, you spoke about the challenge that the sisters faced. That one sister wanted love and one sister wanted children, and each sister wanted what the other one had. And although it caused them tremendous pain and there was some friction between the sisters, you rightfully pointed out, and the rabbis make a point all over the Talmud to do the same thing, to say that they never actually hated one another, right? That they might have competed, but that at the end of the day, the competition made it so that they still loved each other, even if they wanted what the other one didn't, and even if seeing what the other one had caused them tremendous pain. And so each of these teachings come down to this question about what we want out of life and how we prioritize both the things that we can get and the things that we can't. And it was fortuitous that I happened to get this book recommendation from Rabbi Elliot Tepperman, who's the rabbi at B'nai Keshet down the street. And he's reading a book that I had been seeing online a lot called 4,000 Weeks. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this book. It just came out. Oh, you read it? Oh, good. So it's rare that I talk about a book that the dad of the bar mitzvah literally just read. Yeah. But the kind of thesis of this book, and I'm only about halfway through with it at this point, because I picked it up about 3 days ago, is that if you live to be 80, which is a pretty good age to live to, you're going to have 4,000 weeks to live, which honestly doesn't seem like a lot. And so one of the challenges is that it's very difficult to fill those 4,000 weeks up with meaningful things. And the person who wrote the book is a kind of life hack expert. He's a guy who wrote a whole column for The Guardian about basically how to economize your time. And he played around with all the different techniques that you can do, like the Palmero technique, for example, where basically you set a timer for 25 minutes, you work diligently for 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break, right? The zero inbox idea, the idea that you're never supposed to go to sleep without getting your emails down to zero. And what he found is that he was incredibly good at economizing his time. He could do 1.5 times what the average person could do in a day because he was so good at multitasking and life hacks. But he found that it was being filled up with stuff that wasn't meaningful. If you're really good at answering your emails, then that's what you're going to fill your time up with doing. And it doesn't really matter whether those emails are important or those emails are meaningless. It doesn't matter whether someone's bugging you or whether you want to be reading what is coming in. If you prioritize economizing your time, you are going to become very good at that, but not necessarily good at the things that count. And the more email that you can respond to honestly means more email that's going to fill up your inbox. And so he came to this realization that actually the goal in life is to suffer a little bit, right? The goal in life isn't to try to do everything because you're never actually going to be doing everything. It's to understand that you need to make painful choices. You, in a way, need to suffer in the way that the sisters did. Right? One sister was clearly loved, and the other sister was clearly good at having children. And although the other one wanted what they couldn't get, one of the challenges in life, and I'm not saying that the sister shouldn't have wanted what the other one did, but the challenge in life is that we often want too many things. And when we do, it often gets in the way of the things that we do want. There's an anecdote that I heard even before reading the book that is by Warren Buffett, and probably apocryphal. But someone once came to Warren Buffett and said to Warren Buffett, basically, how do I be you, right? How do I get all the things that I want in life? So Warren Buffett sent him away, and he said to him, do me a favor and rank the 25 most important things in your life. And so the person did, and he came back, and he said, okay, so well, what do I do now? And Warren Buffett said, draw a line under number 5 and work really, really hard at those first 5 things. Now, I'll point out something that many people assume that he's going to say next, which is that the next 20 things are things that we should work kind of hard at, right? Work very hard at the 5 and keep trying for those 20, but don't work as hard at them, work really hard at the 5. What Warren Buffett said is those next 20 things, avoid like the plague. And the reason is this. I'm writing a book right now. And being a writer, I would say, is on my top 5 things that I want to do, from a like, let's say, rabbinic standpoint, right? In addition to all the stuff that's going on at the congregation, I really enjoy writing and playing with ideas, and I'm working on that book. But there's also a number of other things that I want to do too. And the truth is, writing a book is hard. And when it gets hard, I can do one of 2 things. I can push through because that's my only choice. Or I can say, in the way that I am being productive, that I'm going to do number 6 and number 7 on my list. And I'm going to feel good about myself because number 6 and number 7 on my list are actually pretty important things to me. But the truth is, you may not realize it. But by working on things that are pretty important to you, but not the most important to you, what you're going to find is that they allow you to skip the pain of those first 5 things when they get hard. Because the things that are on the list will always be hard, inevitably, if you do them to a certain extent. Which means that you can find that the things that are important to you are actually procrastination tools. It's not just cleaning your house and checking Facebook. It might be, for example, professionally volunteering with some Israel organization that I care about Israel tremendously, but may not be something in the top 5. And what happens is you end up becoming marginally good at a lot of things, but not successful at anything. Hard work involves pain. Getting what you want in life involves a degree of suffering, a degree of giving up. In the same way that Jacob had to pick all of the stuff that he wanted to do in life and let it go in order to work those 14 years for the thing that he really wanted, which was Rachel, we kind of have to do the same thing. There is a curse to being a Renaissance person, and it is that you become jack of all trades, but master of none. And so our portion teaches us the same lesson, interestingly, and you together taught us the same lesson, interestingly, as 4,000 hours, which is that we can spin our wheels and assume that we can have everything. But having something doesn't mean touching it. Having it means holding it in our hands and acknowledging that we are going to stink at things in order to succeed at others. It's something that's very hard to do. It's something I struggle with all the time. I want to be good at every piece of being a rabbi. I want to be good at the pastoral care. I want to be good at the teaching. I want to be good at the management. I need to be good at the fundraising. But at the end of the day, I cannot do my job well being marginally good at everything. I have to specialize in the way that Leah and Rachel ended up specializing in their relationship to Jacob. They wanted it all, but the world thrust upon them the thing that they were good at. And rather than spend their time searching to be the other, what happens if they had leaned in? If they had acknowledged that they just were not going to be good at that other thing? Leah was not going to be loved. Rachel was not going to bear the children that she wanted to. But Leah doubled down on those children she was going to get. And Rachel doubled down on the love that she was going to get from Jacob. And they acknowledged that they were going to, throughout their lives, keep trying for the other thing, but it was not going to let them suffer. Rather than look longingly at the road that they couldn't take, they were going to look expectantly at the road that they could. And it's an impossible task, and it's so hard to do, but it is so needed. Because when you really can get your hands dirty with the things that matter most for you, you're going to find that those 4,000 hours of your life don't pass you by, that you've got a degree of control over them, that even if the inbox fills up, you filled your hours and your days with the things that are the most important to you. So Will and Hannah, come on up. You can stand right here. Because you each have independent gifts. Each of you are good at different pieces, though each of you have certain things in common, in the sense that you're both incredibly friendly, you're both incredibly good-natured, you both work hard, and you both greet everybody that you meet with a kind of openness and warmth and presence that's powerful. But you both are, to heed my warning, jack of all trades. You both are people who are incredible Renaissance people. And by the way, you're supposed to be at your age. That's good to be at your age. But your goal in life is going to be to figure out what are those things that matter the most to you and be able to double down on them, be able to push toward them. And it might be sports, and it might be friendships, and it might be the work that you end up doing. It might be success, like grades already, but at this point, your success will breed other successes in the professional workplace. It might be leisure. It might be the family that you one day build. But the goal is to figure out how to prioritize. And when you do, you're going to find that the niche that exists within your family for the two of you is going to be fully yours. One of the reasons that siblings fight, and I'm not talking little kids. My kids have just actually began fighting. My daughter's 17 months old, and she just has come into her own enough that she will fight with her brother, and he will fight with her. But the reason that many people fight, especially siblings, is that you occupy a niche that the other person wants. And in doing so, you say, like, no, like, I'm the one that my parents confide in. Or, no, I'm the responsible one. Or no, I'm the fun one, or I'm the funny one. And I'm sure that you could pick which are the adjectives that you each kind of are. The goal is to figure out and to know yourself enough that you're able to not be jealous when the other one is a different, quote, one than you, right? That you let the other one be funny and you take the compassion. Or you let the other one be the one who tends to know more than anyone else in the room and you take the gregarious or the thoughtful or whatever those things are. The goal is to figure out what your niche is and to not wish that you had what the other one did. In the same way that kids fight over toys, you will fight over space in your home. And so the goal is to know that you each have a sacred and a holy and a special space that is beautiful and that is yours because of who you are and because of all that we appreciate about you. And in doing so, know that you make an impact on your family, on your community, and on your world. And so we want to offer you a blessing, the oldest blessing that we have to give in our tradition, the Priestly Benediction. So I'm going to call up Cantor Greenberg and our clergy associate, Ronnie Pressman. And everybody present, I'll invite you to lift your hands so you can bless them. Same with those on the computer. And we offer you this blessing. May God bless you and may God protect you. May God cause God's face to shine upon you and give you grace. May God always smile upon you and grant you a life of wholeness and peace.
Can you hear that, Tommy? If you God's will, let us all sing.
Amen. So stay up here for one more moment because I'm going to call a member of our Board of Trustees, Andrew Slutsky, up to offer you a greeting and some words. And as he's coming up, stay here because he's going to give you your gifts. As he's coming up, he probably won't plug this, but Andrew is organizing a trip on the third night of Hanukkah to see the devils. And it just occurred to me, this is a shidduch that we need to make, okay?
You got it. So, let me just make sure I get this right. Here you go. Will. And Hannah. Here you go. So Hannah and Will, on behalf of Temple Ner Tamid's Board of Trustees and the entire congregation, I'd like to wish Mazel Tov not just to both of you, but to your parents and your entire family as well. We all know how much hard work and preparation you guys have both put into making this day happen, and everybody is very, very proud of you guys, especially your mom. I was watching her sitting in the back row, so her pride is very genuine. As the cantor likes to remind me, this day is just the beginning of your Jewish journey and not the end of it. So we encourage you guys to continue your Jewish journey by being active in our congregation for years to come. And this morning, it's my privilege to present both of you guys with the set of gifts that we hope will remind you of this special moment in your lives. And once again, I just want to wish you guys Mazel Tov to everyone. Thank you. Yeah, you got it.
You can sit down. Let's together return to page 282 and we rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, ויגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו ושמו אחד.
We pause at the conclusion of our service to think of those who we've loved and who we've lost. As my eyes go around the room, I'll invite you to say the names of people who you've lost in recent days, weeks, months, or years, or to put their names into the chat. Page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. B'yamad divrach yirtzeh v'yamlech malchuteh. V'chayechon yomachon uv'chayet chol Beit Yisrael. B'agala u'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnormam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, damiram b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shalom araba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'arko Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'arko Yisrael v'imru amen.
We bring these exact words up into the air. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. One more time. Join us. Oseh shalom
Romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. And so we're going to join together in our Kiddush and our Motzi, and so I want to call Joseph up to help us lead that.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagofen. Amen. You drink it for me.
Motzi?
You cut it? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motzei lachem min haaretz.
Amen.
Awesome.
All right, so Shabbat Shalom, everyone. If you're joining us virtually, put the last words of love into the chat. Matthew, I'll tell you when we're all set.
Hannah and Will, you guys come up here and wave, and the whole family comes so that they can finally see you, right? Then you can wave and say hello. And you can take your masks down so they see your faces. Yay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Hi, guys.
I don't know where is
We're waving right in front of us, Mama.
Right there. Right there.
That was dumb. Good work.
Wow. This is it.
It's a big deal.
How do you feel? Now you know what to do. You can take a deep breath. Enjoy your day.
Now it's time to have